What's up guys? This video will cover the simplest and most beginner friendly way to beat all 10 bosses in Pantheon 4, also known as Pantheon of the Night. I know there are faster ways to complete this Pantheon, but this method is much more forgiving if you make a lot of mistakes or are just really struggling to finish it. To make this work, you'll need Monarch Wings, Shade Cloak, Mantis Claw, the fully upgraded nail, the Pure Nail, Dream Nail to access the Pantheons from the Junk Pit, and most of the charms. We'll start with the charm build required for the first 5 bosses. Besides Void Heart, the main charms you'll need are Unbreakable Strength, Quick Focus, Weaver's Song, Grimchild, and Grub Song. To equip all these, you will require 11 notches. Unbreakable Strength allows you to deal significantly more nail damage, while Quick Focus lets you heal much more frequently and faster, especially important if you tend to make mistakes. Weaver's Song and Grimchild are quite unconventional choices, but they are extremely helpful because they deal extra damage without requiring you to physically hit enemies with your nail. These charms allow you to focus on dodging while they continue damaging bosses for you, and also providing extra protection against some enemies or projectiles. Grub Song is excellent when combined with Weaver's Song, as you generate a lot of soul even when you take damage. You should usually have a huge stock of soul to heal with. The key strategy here is to beat these bosses in a very simple way. So you just hit the bosses with your nail, dodge their attacks, and let Weaver's Song and Grimchild provide extra damage. If you get hit a few times, just heal. And if you prefer using spells though, you can, but just remember that you'll have less soul in stock for healing. So the first boss is Enraged Guardian. His attacks mainly involve laser beams from his arm and from above, while also jumping around the arena. The key thing to watch is his arm. He points it forward in the direction of the laser right before firing. As soon as you see his arm move forward, dodge immediately, using Monarch Wings if needed. If his arm isn't pointing forward, there's no need to worry. Take this fight slowly, striking once after he fires his laser is enough, and then just repeat this process and you'll defeat him easily. If you're low on soul, right after he finishes firing the laser is usually a good opportunity to regenerate 1 or 2 heals before the next attack. The second boss is Lost Kin. The biggest challenge with Lost Kin is his sudden, fast movements, which can be difficult to read. This is one of the bosses where I don't always focus on dodging perfectly. Instead, I rely heavily on healing. You'll notice I get hit quite a lot, but because of Weaver's Song and Grub Song, I have so much soul available that I can just constantly regenerate. When you get hit, you also become temporarily invulnerable, and this gives you a really good chance to land at least 1 hit back. The third boss is No Eyes. No Eyes is one of the easier bosses, but she can be a bit annoying because she constantly teleports around the arena. The main goal is to land at least 1 hit before she changes location. Focus on dodging the flying projectiles and quickly moving towards her. If you lost a lot of health, the bottom center area of the arena is usually the safest place to heal because fewer projectiles reach you there. Just remember to use Monarch Wings whenever needed to avoid attacks. The fourth boss is Traitor Lord. Traitor Lord attacks very quickly, but his moves are much easier to read compared to Lost Kin. The key is recognizing his attack patterns early and dodging before he reaches you. For his straight lunges and dive attacks, I recommend using 2 early double jumps to avoid him. Some players prefer using Shade Cloak to dash through him, but the timing is much more difficult. However, for his shockwave attack, you cannot jump over it, so in this case you will need to dash using Shade Cloak. Try to avoid fighting near the side walls, as this limits your movement options. If you are far from him and he has missed a strike, that is a prime opportunity to heal at least 1 soul. The fifth boss is White Defender. When he throws dung balls, just stand between the bouncers and start healing. When he is above the ground, stay close enough to him so that you can hit him, but make sure you can stand back a little when the balls leave his hands. Whenever he digs underground or sends those long pillars upwards, simply dash through them using Shade Cloak. After defeating the first 5 bosses, you'll reach a resting area where you can change your charms. For the second half of Pantheon 4, the charm build is Void Heart, Unbreakable Strength, Quick Focus, Sharp Shadow, Dash Master, and Sprint Master. This setup is slightly unconventional compared to many other guides, but it really is one of the easiest ways to beat the last 5 bosses, particularly Pure Vessel. Sharp Shadow is extremely important because it increases your dash distance, making it much easier to avoid attacks while also allowing you to deal damage when dashing through bosses. Dash Master and Sprint Master, they improve your mobility by reducing your dash cooldown and also increasing your movement speed. These charms greatly improve your ability to dodge attacks and survive longer. Unbreakable Strength reduces boss fight duration significantly, and Quick Focus gives you opportunities to heal against some of the faster bosses. The 6th boss is Failed Champion. For this fight, you don't need to jump very often. The main exception is when avoiding the white shockwave that comes from the ground. In that one situation, one jump is usually enough. Stay close to him whenever he is not attacking and hit him as much as possible. When he is about to swing, move away. When he jumps towards you with an attack, the easiest way to avoid it is to simply dash to the other side of him. This is where many players struggle because they don't know how to react when he jumps. Dashing through to the opposite side is definitely the safest option. And then when his white face is exposed, this is really the prime opportunity to heal up to 3 souls. The 7th boss is Markoth. Markoth is fairly straightforward. When he starts throwing arrows at you, focus mainly on avoiding them, but try to move a bit closer to Markoth so that you can land at least 1 hit between attacks. When he starts spinning his shields quickly, create as much distance as possible and start regenerating. The 8th boss is the Watcher Knights. Although there are multiple enemies in this fight, their attacks are quite predictable. If a Watcher Knight is preparing to strike, it will usually only perform 2 quick swipes, so simply back away slightly to avoid them. When they start rolling, either jump or dash to the other side. The main thing is to just stay calm and avoid getting trapped between multiple knights. Once you create space, you will have opportunities to attack and heal when needed. The 9th boss is Soul Tyrant. During his rotating 6 orb attack, you can usually jump, hit him, and avoid the orbs up to 2 times each time he moves across the screen. And if you find that too difficult, just focus on getting at least 1 hit and staying alive. Standing in the center of the arena is usually safe because the orbs will not hit you there, and this will give you a good opportunity to heal at least 1 soul. You'll want to rely heavily on your dash here. Use it to avoid the homing orb projectiles and quickly close the distance to attack. When Soul Tyrant is in low health and repeatedly dives vertically to the ground, keep moving and use your Sharp Shadow dash to avoid him. When he sends the homing orbs again, stay close enough to keep hitting him, but dodge when the orbs get very close. Final boss is Pure Vessel, and without a doubt, this is the most difficult fight in Pantheon 4. Pure Vessel is challenging because of his speed, relentless attacks, and huge variety of moves. I'll make a dedicated video just on Pure Vessel in more detail, but here's the basic strategy. So, unlike other guides, don't worry too much about pogoing on him with your nail, unless you're very comfortable with it. A much easier method is to use Monarch Wings to jump around him, and then attack from the opposite side. For his nail projectile attack, always dash through the projectiles, but only after you hear the sound cue that they have started moving. If you dash too early, you will usually fail to pass through them. Sharp Shadow is also extremely useful as an emergency option when you don't have enough time to double jump, or when you make a mistake and need to escape. Keep in mind that Pure Vessel deals massive damage. Every hit takes 2 masks, so surviving is much more important than playing aggressively. If you are a beginner struggling with Pure Vessel, I highly recommend sticking with this charm build. The extra mobility from Sharp Shadow, Dash Master, and Sprint Master makes a huge difference when dodging his attacks. That's it for this video. Good luck with Pantheon 4, and have a nice day.